Hi, I'm Larry Pizzi from Currie Technologies, and we're here at Interbike 2013 and the introduction of Haibike XDURO in North America. Haibike is a German brand that utilizes exclusively the Bosch drive system. And what's new for 2014 is the Generation 2 Bosch drive, which is this egg-shaped drive that's integrated into the frame. It's a center motor system, incredibly powerful, and it is by far the best e-bike drive system on the market today. For the US market, they've modified the system, and it's their performance-based system, so it's higher wattage. It goes from 250 watts to 350 watts, and a higher top speed of 32 kilometers an hour, which is 20 miles an hour. And we're starting with 7 models for model year 14, with mountain bikes, a 29er hardtail, opening price point of $4,000 US. Really nicely equipped bike, excellent performance characteristics, and the bigger wheel size makes it a little bit easier to ride for someone that's a little less experienced riding off-road. And then we go to a cross-country full suspension bike in the XDURO FS-RX. It's 150 millimeter travel, very short wheelbase, so it's got great handling characteristics. And some of the innovative things that Haibike has done with this drive system is they've taken the chain and elevated it over the chainstay with this pulley and guide. And then they've also built in a chain guard into the cog, so there's no pedal interference on the drive itself, and you get fantastic performance from a handling standpoint. A lot of the other bikes that have attempted to use the new Gen 2 drive system, because of this really small cog, it's created a lot of design challenges because the chain gets so close to the chainstay. With this guide and pulley, it solves that problem and also enables them to make a very short wheelbase bike. Then a little longer travel bike, a 180 millimeter all-mountain style bike called the All-Mountain RX. Again, 180 millimeters travel, a little higher end component package, the exact same drive system. And the retail on this bike is about $5,000. And then the top of the line from an all-mountain perspective is the All-Mountain Pro, with a very sweet high-end component package with Crank Brothers wheel set and a Fox long travel fork, and ratcheted up components all the way around. And the All-Mountain Pro retails for $7,800. There's one more mountain bike in the range to complete the lineup, and that's called the NDURO, which is a downhill bike. And we can go take a look at that. So this is the new NDURO, which is a downhill bike with 180 millimeter travel. It's a 26-inch wheel bike as opposed to a 27 5-inch wheel. It's for somebody that's pretty experienced in riding, and this gives you the ability to have as much fun riding a downhill bike uphill as going downhill. Again, equipped with some of the highest end components available, and it's about $8,000 retail, making it the most expensive Haibike in the range for 2014. Okay, and now something a little bit less aggressive for pavement riding. This is the Trekking RX. As you can see, it has full fenders, a rear carrier, an integrated taillight, and although it doesn't have the headlight on it, it comes equipped with an integrated headlight as well. It uses the same Bosch performance system with a suspension fork, actually has a dyno on the front hub so that you're not drawing power from the battery to power the light all the time, but the battery system will also power the light so it'll never go out. The Trekking RX is going to be $4,000 retail as well. So on Bosch standards, a pretty reasonably priced bike that is really utility oriented. And then the Superrace. Superrace is a 700C flat bar road bike with some really high-end components. It's a SRAM EXO drivetrain and shifters with hydraulic disc brakes, and also the Bosch performance system, but this time it's a speed pedelec, which means that the top speed under pedal assist only is 45 kilometers an hour, which is about 28 miles an hour. Obviously it's an aggressive, nimble handling bike. I would say that it's the Specialized turbo killer in the range. So the battery pack is mounted here on the down tube right above the motor, and this combination gives you the lowest center of gravity possible. The interesting thing about the battery pack for 2014 is that they're using higher density cells. So last year's system, or the Gen 1 system, was a 300 watt-hour system because they were using 2.2 ampere-hour cells. Now they're using 2.9 ampere-hour cells, which has higher energy density, and in even less space, they can get a 400 watt-hour battery pack that gives you plenty of range and supports the higher-powered 350 watt US system. Okay, so one of the coolest functions of the Bosch system is this Intuvia display and user interface. It's got full cycle computer functionality like odometer, trip distance, clock, maximum speed, average speed, trip time, but it also has something called range. And what's neat about this is that it will constantly recalculate how much range you have left in the battery pack based on how much human power input you're putting into the system, what kind of terrain you're riding, and also the power level. You can see that you can switch the system off with the simple plus-minus function of the user interface, which is mounted right next to the grip, just like where a throttle might be located. If you're in a downhill kind of a mode, you might turn the system off to conserve power. In eco mode, you get maximum range and you get about 50% of your human power input. Very efficient, but it gives you a huge amount of range, maximum distance of maybe even 90 or 100 miles on a single charge at this power level in ideal circumstances. And then I find myself riding primarily in tour or even sport mode, where you get a very significant amount of boost. And then when you get to really steep section or you're incredibly tired, you can put it in turbo mode. The other things about the display that sort of come alive when the bike is being ridden is over here next to the mode button, there's a bar that goes up and down that tells you how much motor support you're getting, which is pretty informational. It's pretty interesting to see while you're riding exactly how much human power and exactly how much motor power is being put into the system. But I find out of the information functions that this range is really neat. It eliminates range anxiety, and you can ensure that you've got enough battery capacity to get you home after a long ride. Also on the display, there's a switch that enables you to actuate a light if there's an integrated light system, and it lights up from a backlight perspective the display itself. The other interesting thing about the Bosch system is that it uses a CAN bus communication system, which means the user interface, the display, the battery pack, and the motor all talk to each other. There is a USB port right next to the display that your servicing dealer can plug a diagnostics tool into and determine if there are any kind of fault or issue with the system while it's in service. So there's no guessing about what component has failed if there's been a failure. There's also no ambiguity about the condition of the battery pack. Diagnostic tool can be plugged into it, and the dealer can know in a very short period of time how many full recharge cycles the pack has had, if it's been left in a really hot environment, which might damage it. It all is determined right on a simple PC through this USB port that a dealer diagnostic situation has. Bosch is also very service-oriented, and backup parts are never more than a couple of days away. Very sophisticated system, and I think it's creating a new standard for e-bike drive systems in North America.